What's up, meatbags? It is the Chicano Stan Lee, the chosen one of CG, the one, the only Frog Tony. And today, we're going to be talking about Goblin Slayer, another adventure nightmare feast. But before we get into that, let me remind you to like the video, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Now, right off the bat, you should know I have no idea what Goblin Slayer is. I never watched it. I've never read the manga. I've never seen the anime. I have no knowledge of Goblin Slayer other than it is a thing that exists about a guy who kills goblins. I guess that's good enough, right? That's a good enough knowledge. Now, this game, Goblin Slayer, Another Adventure Nightmare Feast, is not a direct adaptation of the anime or manga, which is a good thing for people like me who have no idea what that is, never read it or watched it, right? However, it might be a bad thing for you if you were looking like, hey, I'm going to get to play the Goblin Slayer. I'm going to be the guy. You don't play the guy. You're not the guy. You're not the Goblin Slayer. You're a guild master who's running a guild to fight monsters and, help people and do things like that. Now, the Goblin Slayer does make an appearance as a hireable character, sort of like a temporary guild member. But he's not a, permanent member of the team. He's not someone who, plays into the story. He's just a character in the game. Now, the first thing that you need to know about this game is there is a lot of dialogue, a lot of talking. Now, literally, it was like 20 minutes before I got to the point in the game where they gave me the battle tutorial. I was reading, and I read fast. I was reading and listening to these Japanese voices for what felt like forever, but it was apparently like 20 minutes before I got to actually play the game. That's a huge red flag. That's bad, right? Again, I've said this in other reviews. I'll say this here. If I was not reviewing this, if I did not get a review copy of this game, I would have turned it off. I would have skipped over the dialogue or I would have just turned it off and stopped playing because 20 minutes of my time was wasted for a story that I was really not invested in. I don't know those characters. I don't really, they didn't feel good. They didn't feel like, characters I wanted to know or really invest my time in, right? I wanted to play some game. I wanted some strategic RPG action. And unfortunately, it's not quite what I got. Now, the game looks a lot like your Final Fantasy Tactics or your typical tactics style, strategy RPG, but it's not quite as good as those, right? Now, the enemies are really spaced out. They take forever to get to. Everything seems to be slow. Your movement is really low. Enemies don't really want to come to you. You got to kind of come to them and goad them into coming at you. The main strategy is to turtle up and defend. Now, the unique mechanic in this game is there's a little chance system where you can roll a dice and something will happen depending on what you pick before the scenario is all set up. But these things are so limited that they don't really have a huge impact on the game, right? So I would have liked to see a more robust sort of chance system. As far as the skills go, a lot of your characters start off with really low MP. So you're getting 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 uses of the skill before they're done. And it's not like they're huge, impressive skills. It's not like a Disgaea or even a Final Fantasy Tactics where you got these huge spells and all this stuff is happening. There's explosions and lights. Things are going off. No, they're really subdued and calm and kind of lackluster. They're not very exciting, right? You're going to be using your basic attack a lot in this game, and it is really boring and just plain. The characters are also kind of plain and boring. You got your main characters. You got this vampire lady that you rescue, and they have personality and character. But a lot of the characters are just guild members that you hire, and they're kind of just cheap, generic classes. They're not really, fully fledged characters, which can work in a game like this guy where you do have these generic class characters. but they're so unique and so wild, and the moves and stuff are so out there that you kind of like it. It's like, oh man, I want to see what this class is going to do. Oh, I want to see what the skills of this class are, how this is going to work. Right? With these, everything is so just boring and plain. It's not really like, oh man, I want to get the new class. Or, oh man, I want to see how this guy works out. Right? It's just kind of like, who's the strongest guy I got now? Who's got the best equipment? Right? Again, the story, it's not great. I guess if you're a fan of Goblin Slayer, if you're a fan of the manga, the anime, and you kind of know the world and everything, and you already have an investment towards everything, you probably will like it. And you'll be like, oh yeah, this is great. It's expanding the lore. It's adding so much to it. Again, for someone like me who just wanted a tactical RPG, really was not great. Like didn't suck me in. Wasn't really invested. Like, oh, I got to see this to the end. The little interactions between the vampire and your guild master, where she's like, I want to suck her blood. Are you a virgin? And all that. It's kind of goofy. It's kind of funny. That works for me. I like that kind of humor. But everything else is just very flat and boring and just talking and talking and talking. So much talking. Again, could I recommend this? Oh, no, I can't. I mean, if you're really hard up for a tactical RPG on the Nintendo Switch, maybe, give this a try. If you're a huge Goblin Slayer fan, I guess maybe give it a try, right? Those would be the only two scenarios in which I'd say, hey, yeah, give it a try, see if you like it. Hopefully you do. But anyone else, there's so many better options out there. Better options, cheaper options, flashier options. This game, not recommended at all. Now, that's my thoughts on it. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think? Have you tried this game? Does it look like something you would like to play? Are you into Goblin Slayer? Is that a series, an anime that I should get into, that I should watch and start talking about? I've heard things about it. Not all good, but hey, maybe the critics are wrong. Maybe the SJWs are wrong about Goblin Slayer. Maybe you can fill me in on what's going on with that. But until next time, as always, love, peace, booty grease. We out this bitch.